Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. We often think of healthcare in terms of treatment of an illness or a disease that we may have acquired, but healthcare also means preemptive care and opportunities to enhance the convenience of screening mechanisms that are available to our people in Saskatchewan and across Canada. Screening and early detection for cancer is so very important. And that is why we first introduced the at-home colorectal cancer screening kits back in 2009, which made it easier and more convenient, which in turn increases participation and increases early detection. And that leads to greater chances of that very opportunities that we have for early treatment as well. And at the end of the day, it increases our chances for survival. So I'm here today, and I'm pleased to be here today in Regina with our Laura Ross, our candidate in Regina Rochdale, and Sarah Wright, our candidate for right here in Regina Lakeview. And in addition to being Saskatchewan Party candidates, both of these women are cancer survivors. And they both understand the importance of early detection. And they are both very strong advocates for women's health. And that's why they are here today to make what I view as a very, very important announcement in this election campaign. So Laura, I would turn it over to you first.
Well, thank you very much, Premier. Now, early diagnosis gives you the best chance of beating cancer. I know. Been there, done that. Now, the Saskatchewan Party wants to make it easier to screen for potential cervical cancer. Most women I know getting a regular pap test, it's important. It's not that enjoyable, but it's important. And a lot of women may be avoiding it, and so we want to make sure that women have every opportunity to ensure that they self-screen themselves, they do the pap test, they send it in. Because early detection means that we can do the best we can for those women. So that's why a re-elected Saskatchewan Party government will introduce self-screening as an alternative to the pap test. Thank you.
So, once this program is in place, all women ages 25 to 69 will be given the option to receive a self-screening kit in the mail. The self-screening is used to screen for HPV, which is, of course, the leading cause of cervical cancer. Saskatchewan will become just the second province in Canada to offer self-screening as an alternative to the pap test. As someone who very much understands the importance of early cancer detection, I'm very appreciative of this initiative. I'm so proud to be part of a political party that not just supports women's health, but is raising the bar for women's health in Canada. As a cancer patient between surgeries last year, I had a lot more brain power than body power. And to stay positive, I started jotting down ideas of how women's cancers could become less stressful for the ladies and the people that love them. Cancer affects so many more people than just their patients. When I contacted the Sask Party, I was hoping that maybe I could just email my ideas to someone, but not only did they take my ideas seriously, but they invited me to become part of Solutions to Come. And I can't tell you how much that means to me and my friends who I've met through the women's cancer community in Saskatchewan, and a few that are here to support me today, and I'm so appreciative for them. Early detection is the cure for cancer. And what I love about today's announcement is it's adding dignity of at-home testing. And that is so important to women and women's health and women's mental health. I want to thank our Ministers of Health, Minister Hindley and Minister McLeod, and for their time that they took and the seriousness they took when just little old me found my way into their offices. And I really want to thank Premier Moe as well. He really has a heart for women's health, and that has become very, very clear to me over the last year. And I'm so appreciative of all the initiatives that are continuing to come forward for women's health in Saskatchewan. So thank you very much, and I look forward to more announcements as we go.
Thank you so very much, both Laura and Sarah, for your voices on behalf of so many women and families across the province of Saskatchewan. We know that there are many Saskatchewan people as well that want children to grow their families. But the only option for too many individuals across this province is to partake in fertility treatments. And we want to make the opportunity to access those important treatments more affordable for Saskatchewan soon-to-be parents. A re-elected Saskatchewan Party government will introduce a 50% refundable tax credit to a maximum of $20,000 for the cost of fertility treatments. And so that would translate into a direct benefit of about $10,000. We want to make it more affordable for women, for couples, and for families who may be in need of fertility treatments to start or grow their families right here in our province. We want the best quality of life and a bright future for everyone that lives in Saskatchewan. And that includes improving access to all aspects of women's health care. Thank you very much to Laura and Sarah. Thank you to our Saskatchewan Party candidates from across Regina and the surrounding area for attending this announcement here this morning, as it is an announcement I feel that will have impact on so many families across Saskatchewan from corner to corner to corner. So thank you. Any questions? I would just say another quick thank you as well to someone who is very well known in the space of women's health, and in particular in supporting families and individuals that may be facing a cancer diagnosis and the treatments, and that's Ann Chase, who is a very significant voice in the government of Saskatchewan, with the government of Saskatchewan, for the work she does.
In your video on social media about the IVF, you said something about first treatment. Is there only going to be the first round of IVF that's eligible for this?
You know what? I'm going to have to check the background around the first. We started with the first treatment at $10,000. It's a maximum of $20,000, $10,000, and I have to check if that's for one treatment or two treatments. But oftentimes those treatments do run up into that $15,000 or $20,000 range. There's a maximum claimable of $10,000.
Why do this as a tax credit as opposed to just having it covered under provincial health?
This was, through the discussions that we've had with various individuals, Minister Hindley or Minister MacLeod, if you have something to add to why the tax credit is there. But I would say that it's also for Saskatchewan delivered fertility treatments as well. And what this is just simply trying to support not just families, but individuals across Saskatchewan as they are, making decisions. And often this is part of those decisions in how they can grow their families.
With tax credits, usually you have to have the money, pay for it, and then you get the money back. But there are a lot of people who can't scrape together $15,000 to pay for it in the first place.
Well, the tax credit will be available for anyone that does move, that does make this choice, and I would say that it's much more than we had before, and much more than virtually any other province has as well. I think this is much more helpful than it has been in the past, and if we're re-elected, we'd move very, very quickly on this tax credit for Saskatchewan individuals that are choosing to partake fertility treatment that currently isn't subsidized in any way.
And why do this now? The NDP has been calling for something like this for years.
Yeah, the NDP have called for this for more, on 50 different occasions in the legislature. This is part of our commitment moving forward in not only, the opportunity to expand families for those that are choosing, whether they be individuals or families, but also to ensure that we're doing all that we can to improve women's health in the province of Saskatchewan. So it's part of a broader initiative on where we will go if we have the honour to form government.
Could you have maybe worked with the NDP and gotten this done earlier?
No, well, this is our commitment here today. Listen, they'll have their commitments, and there's going to be some choices and differences, but there'll also be some points of alignment. Maybe this is one. I don't know. You'll have to ask them.
Are you going to make more announcements on private clinics? I'm thinking of Mr. Graham and Sask United Race announcement of Long Morning. You've looked at opportunities in 2-for-1 and other matters. Is there anything in this campaign coming up that might suggest the Sask Party government would move more forward with that, sir?
So you're asking me to make Thursday's announcement on Monday? Okay. So I won't do that. But what I will say is when it comes to the record of investment and direction of this government when it comes to healthcare, we've entirely been committed to delivering public healthcare. Some of that has traditionally been delivered through publicly funded private services, like our fee-for-service physician program that's been in this province for years and years. Diagnostics, as you said, have been available to, in early years, the Rough Riders and some SGI claimants. We've expanded that. We have publicly funded private surgeries in the province as well. But alongside that, you've seen new and innovative ways to deliver directly public public services with the urgent care center here in Regina to alleviate some of the pressures that we have in our emergency rooms, but also to provide that access point for those friends and family in Regina and surrounding area that may be struggling with a mental health challenge or unfortunately entered a life of addictions. That is an access point for our friends and family in that space. That is entirely public, funded by this government as well. And so we've always said we'll use all the tools that we have available to deliver a better healthcare service to Saskatchewan people. But largely that is almost exclusively is through public investment.
Is this just for HPV screening, or is it a bunch of different? I'm just asking. I don't know how it works.
Yeah, you know what? I would ask Laura and Sarah that might have a comment on that with the just a comment specifically on the connections between, for example, cervical cancer, ovarian cancer, breast cancer, and some of the genetic markers and some of the research and how it's overlapping in that space. And each of you, Sarah, you go ahead, and then Laura, or vice versa.
Okay. I actually had to explain all this to my husband last week. I'm not gonna lie. The number one cause of cervical cancer is HPV. A Pap test can screen for a variety of things, but the vast majority of the importance of a Pap test is in fact to find HPV or anything else that is leading to cervical cancer. And with the female body, if you have one cancer, for whatever reason, you're susceptible to the others. So, and that was the case for me. I've had breast cancer, and I also had to have a total hysterectomy in April of this year. And that's just the reality of being a woman, but it's the early prevention, which it was for myself this year. If you can find the cancer, remove the cancer, you're then cancer free. And that's what this is all about.
Would this self-screening have been any faster had that been available to you, in your case in particular?
Mine was actually this year, the cervical related surgery I had was found very quickly and taken care of very quickly, honestly. And sorry, what was the other part of your question?
Curious how effective this self-test.
It's very accurate. It's actually very accurate. The minister can talk to what the other program is in Canada that's already piloted and proven it to be extremely successful.
And Wayne, one of the reasons why we've chosen to go this way is that this makes it much more accessible because they can be mailed out. And I'll give you a good example. My sister-in-law ended up with one of those previous tests for colorectal cancer. And she saw it come in the mail and she kind of thought, oh, really? So she did it and sent it in. Well, they phoned her immediately and said, please come in. And they were able to do surgery immediately, and to ensure that I now have a sister-in-law that's alive and well. So that's one of the reasons why we are going down this this way of providing more health care in a friendlier way, to be honest. Being able to do this in the privacy of your own home really makes a big difference. And also, too, it'll speed things up. And we know that timeliness is so important for cancer. Being able to access treatment. I mean, the minute you receive the call from your doctor, say, please come in, we have to talk. At that point, your heart is just going 100 miles an hour. And your brain isn't working very well either at that point, because you know they wouldn't be just phoning with that somber sound in their voice. But when you sit down and you have that conversation and they say, but Laura, we've got this. We've got what you need here in this province. I have to tell you, my heart just, it felt so good. And I must say, I had the best team ever that made sure that I was fine. And many of you remember 4 years ago during the election campaign, that's when I was getting chemotherapy. So I go, puke, and then go to the campaign office. It's a lot of fun, but it was, you know, I was committed to ensuring that, one, we have a strong, stable government, and that's Saskatchewan Party government, but also, two, that we support our healthcare system. And this is why we are ensuring that we have the breast center. There's another game changer for us. You know, for women in Regina and southern Saskatchewan, this breast center is absolutely going to be, it's going to be such a big change for women, because going to different places and you're stressed out, it's just difficult. This is going to be seamless. It's going to make sure that women know that we have their health top of mind.
When these made this transition, they also started going to a phased approach to phase out traditional pap smears and go to only HPV testing. Is that the direction Saskatchewan goes?
This is in the early stages, and we have Minister Hindley here who would be able to address that. But we know that this is, again, another way of ensuring that we have early detection of cervical cancer. Any other questions?
So just with respect to IVF and fertility, is that all going to be in the province? Is that something that's going to be inside the province, or whereabouts will that be administered? Where will that tax credit be eligible for?
The credit will apply to services delivered in province. And just to address Lisa's earlier question with respect to moving sooner on any of these initiatives, the answer is yes, you could, but they are part of a suite of initiatives that the government has been focused on for some period of time. You'd look at the announcement of the Breast Health Center of Excellence here in Regina, and that investment, the lowering of the opportunities for access to mammography from 50 to 40, and so this fits into a larger initiative focused around, in this case, women's health, but even I would say a larger initiative around improving and through innovation and different ways to offer healthcare, improving Saskatchewan people's access to healthcare. Today's announcement around a more convenient way to find our to identify an early diagnosis in a disease that has impacted so many families, if not all families, across the province. It's better now than never, and it's about time.
What impact do you hope self-screening has on the overcrowding in hospital wait times?
Well, I think the direct impact that we would be looking for is to early diagnosis will save lives, people's lives, family members' lives. It will provide for earlier detection, will provide for earlier treatment, which are far less invasive treatments. So those that are receiving treatment will have a more successful outcomes and much less invasive treatments. And indirectly, to your point, could free up space in our not only our physicians' offices, our urgent care centers, our emergency rooms, throughout our oncology departments. And so the indirect benefits are there as well. But the primary goal is to save people's lives by detecting cancer earlier.
Do you know what the uptake on IID will be? Like, do you have any sense of how much this may cost the government? What you budgeted?
Our estimates are about $3.5 to $4 million.
And do you see that expanding, or that sort of release of question, that increasing if there is uptake, if people want it, if there's a barrier to access because of the cost?
So we have it budgeted at $3.5 to $4 million. If that is to be increased in years ahead, we would have a look at that. This will be included in our finalized, fully costed budget at the conclusion of our remarks and our platform that we have put forward. If that discussion changes in year 2, 3, 4, that would be a discussion for, if we have the honor to form government, to have. But I think this is precisely the opportunity for the discussion around what a strong economy allows a government to do, is to invest right back into what matters most to people's and families across this province, and early detection in making a new and innovative cancer screening method available to women largely in this province is, I think, a very significant choice that we see coming on October the 28th.
What impact did Sarah and Laura have on this, as far as getting in your ear, the Minister of Health here, to impress upon you the need for this, or that this is available? I think Laura's already told you that she had something to do with it.
Yeah, I would say not only Sarah and Laura, and Chase is here today, who has been, very much part of helping advise the government when it comes to women's health and cancer, supporting families that are, facing cancer diagnoses, with the not only the introduction and the commitment of the government when it comes to the Breast Healthcare Center of Excellence, but we have just renewed our funding for an ovarian cancer research chair at the University of Saskatchewan. which is collaborating not only with other research chairs across the country and other research initiatives, but is really moving into some of that space of, as Sarah had mentioned, of connecting some of the genetic markers and some of the opportunities that we have to collaborate on research in the breast cancer space, research in the cervical cancer space, as well as the ovarian cancer space. And so Sarah and Laura, and they can speak to that more fulsomely as to the discussions and the support and the guidance that they have provided, not only myself, but various ministers of health as well as others. This is part of that broader conversation on how do we use the strength of a strong, growing, vibrant economy in Saskatchewan to invest back into what matters the most to Saskatchewan families. And I would suggest that this is very much cancer early diagnosis is one of those things that matters so much to every Saskatchewan family. But do either of you have a comment on the conversations that you've had along the way?
Well, you could start with your.
Well, I'm sure poor Minister Hindley I've shared way too much with. But that's just the reality of these types of challenges. Last year, as some of you may know, I was just a constituent in Regina Lakeview who was sick and between surgeries and just thought, well, you know what I can do is focus on the positive of what I can maybe help for ladies coming behind me. And I started jotting those ideas down, as I mentioned earlier, and then I contacted the Sask Party and just said, hey, I have a lot of ideas. Can I send them to you? And they were really gracious and really enthusiastic to meet with me, which really touched me because, again, just a nobody with breast cancer. And not only did Minister Hindley take the time to meet with me, I had sent him a 21-page report on my healthcare journey and all of my ideas, because like I said, I had way too much time to think the last few years. And it was so kind of him. When I got there, he knew my little report inside out. He referenced it, he had dates correctly, he had facts correctly, and I was shocked. And I wanted to cry. I was just so relieved someone was listening. And he didn't just listen, he invited me back to be part of conversations from September through to now, essentially, to be a part of integrating some of those ideas, being a part of, as a patient advocate for ideas the ministry already had plenty of coming down the pipe for women's health. And just as a new survivor, or I was still kind of in the surviving stage at that point, for them to be willing to listen and ask, okay, as the patient, how is this going to work for you? And, you know, they've just been so generous with their time, and they really do care a lot. And it's been an honor of a lifetime just to be just a person going through breast cancer that was offered an opportunity to give back to the ladies coming behind me. And that's been my honor of a lifetime.
And I also want to thank Sarah. She's tenacious. I have to say, this is a young woman who stood on Albert Street with a big postcard explaining her plight. And then she shows up at my house and says, you have to do something. And I said, Sarah, we are listening. We're listening to women across this whole province. So thank you so much for being brave, for putting your name on a ballot, but also for being so brave and coming forward. Because not everyone who is suffering from cancer wants everybody to know about it. And so standing out on a street corner and sharing your story is the ultimate bravery. So thank you so much. And thank you, Minister Hindley. You listen. It makes all the difference in the world when you listen. So thank you.
I just have a question about fertility treatment for probably Mr. Moe. In 2020, Alina Young brought it forward, and at the time in the legislature, she said she was being booed, she was being heckled when she brought forward the NDP's plans for this. So I'm just wondering what changed from then to now.
Yeah, well, I you know, those are accusations, and so I'll leave those where they are. This is a commitment by Saskatchewan Party that if we were to form government again on October 28th, the people of Saskatchewan, that we are going to help offset 50% of the costs that individuals or families may have in expanding their family in the use of fertility treatments. It'll be used for services that are delivered here in the province of Saskatchewan, but used to support people in Saskatchewan. And so we can, quibble about the timelines on when this is being brought forward. But the important thing is that it is a commitment by this government. It's a fully costed commitment and will be fully costed in our platform, like all of our items are each and every year. And that makes it real. Once it is fully costed in a platform, that makes the commitment real. Should we form government and have the honor to form government on behalf of Saskatchewan people on October the 28th. And that is the difference, is that one platform will be fully costed, and so our commitments are real, whereas we see another platform that has a $3 billion hole in it.
Some women have to go to other provinces to receive certain treatment like mammography. So what are you planning to do to solve this issue?
Well, again, I would point to a most recent announcement around the breast health care center of excellence here in Regina, is to expand the treatment options, team-based treatment options for women, not only in accessing a mammography, which they can access at 40 years old as opposed to 50, but then to access that team-based care that is so necessary should that come back as requiring treatment. And so these are investments that we've started as a government and now are building on as a party and part of our election platform that'll be fully costed.
Also, nurses are fed up, and also hospitals have reached 350% capacity. What are you planning on doing to tackle this?
Yeah, well, I'd say some of those plans and some of that direction is already in place with respect to the capacity in our emergency rooms, and I would point you to the investment of the urgent care center here on North Albert Street in Regina. That is, a significant portion of that footprint, and the staffing that are working in that facility are there to alleviate the pressures at the Regina Pasqua and the Regina General Hospital. There is the mental health and addictions intake as well, but largely the urgent care center here in Regina is successful in alleviating some of those pressures, and I think what we see in the future, to your point on some of the pressures in Saskatoon, is the partnership where we're expanding on that Regina urgent care model, partnering with the Takakoo Cree Developments in building a like facility to alleviate some of those pressures in Saskatoon. Should we complete that, and what the early days look like in what is essentially a large-scale pilot program here in Regina and Saskatoon, I think this is an initiative, if we are elected on October the 28th, and it is as successful as it has been the last while, that we would have to look at expanding that, not only to additional sites in Regina and Saskatoon, but maybe start to look at sites like Prince Albert, Moose Jaw, and North Battleford. Yeah, you have a comment on that too, sir?
Hi there. In relation to your question about ladies going out of province for testing, that's a really good example of one of the conversations I had with Minister Hindley last year. And we talked it through, and I've unfortunately met a lot of women on the door knocking since the end of June that have actually gone out of province, and I can tell you they're so appreciative, in the same way that I would have been if that had been an option for me. Rather than waiting for months, typically, to get results back, especially when it's as serious as cancer and you have the symptoms and you know the writing is on the wall and you just want to hear it so you can move on and deal with it. And so that was kindly offered by the ministry as a way to bridge the gap until the new health clinic opens. And I was all for that, supporting women going out of health just for a few months to just bridge the gap, kind of adding that care that they can expect when the new clinic opens, but just a little bit sooner, because cancer doesn't wait for construction timelines.
Are you planning to add to the infrastructure that you would need for this self-testing? I would assume you could load on labs in the province, possibly oncology department, service use.
Wow. Come on up.
Okay, here we are. Team building here.
It's not so much that there's going to be more testing, is that everyone should be having their regular pap test. The system is set up for that already. It's more that you now have the option and the dignity of doing it at home.
Yeah, exactly.
And not waiting for an appointment. Yeah.
Oh, we do hope that more
hope
people.
so. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times women say, well, I don't want to take the time. I don't feel I have the time to go see my doctor. Whereas, in fact, now this becomes much more convenient. We have a very rigorous labs within the province of Saskatchewan, and they will be able to accommodate the additional testing.
Yeah.
As they did when we expanded colorectal at home testing as well.
Exactly.